Hi folks, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining. Um, and for me, this is late morning after a pretty strong rain last night, and it's a perfect time for me to pot the runners coming off of my strawberry plants. And so I'm going to bring you along for that. And I've sought the advice of a professional grower specializing in berries, and had a couple of conversations with him, very valuable information, and I'm going to pass all that along to you. As a matter of fact, I just so I don't miss anything, I wrote it all down, and I'm going to pass it along to you. Here's some of them that I'm going to be repotting and dressing up a little bit today. I've got a lot of flowers that I should be picking, and quite a few runners. And believe it or not, these are bare root plants that I got off of Amazon, and they are just going like gangbusters. So I've been very successful with these, so much so that I bought another variety here off of Amazon. These were also bare roots, and they are just jumping right up. These are later in the season, so I don't know how many runners I will get off of these. And here's some more over here, mixed along everything else. So I'm going to show you how I repot. Here's a closer look at one of several that I'm going to be working with today. It's flowering, and it's got a couple of really strong runners coming off of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the flowers and encourage it to send out a few more runners. It's still early in the season to do that, so that the runners will have time to establish before winter sets in. And I'm going to leave, like back here I have one started where it sent out a runner, and I have it in another pot in soil. So and that just, it's holding it down so that it will root. That's why I've got some soil piled up on top of the stem there. And I have recently learned to leave that like that all year long and snip it next spring. So each one of those will have plenty of time to root. So that's what I'm going to be doing for all of these, and we've got quite a few, and the runners are really going. Now the productive season, or the productive period of strawberries, is 3 to 4 years, where they'll produce most of their fruit. So strawberries are an ideal fruit for containers such as this, and they are so easy to propagate from one container to the next. So let's get busy and see. Okay, so how I'm going to do this now is I have these 10-20 trays, and I use these for all of my plants. I fill these. There's no holes in these. That way, this allows me to bottom water and to regulate the water that I'm giving them. There's no guesswork. Each plant is getting an equal amount of water, and I like this. Well, it's pretty easy to guess. I'm going to bury each one of these runners into another pot of dirt. Now, this one here, it's giving off a second runner right here, and from what I've learned, this one will be smaller than this one, and then if there's a third one, it will be smaller still. So you'll have to pretty much decide when you want to stop planting these, because the smaller they are, the longer it's going to take for them to mature. Okay, so what I'm going to use for this project is I use this is called Strawberry Fields. It's a potting soil specifically formulated for fruiting plants, and that's certainly what I want. I have some already pre-used containers of fairly fresh potting soil, because these are the containers that I put strawberry crowns into, and they didn't make it for one reason or another. Typically, the reason they don't make it is because the crown got covered with the dirt, and they will die if that happens. So, or they didn't get watered in well, or they didn't get watered enough early on. Various reasons, but they didn't make it, and the soil is still fresh, so I'm just going to add to that. But I'm still going to fertilize again, and what I'm going to use is Jack's Classic tomato fertilizer. I've been told that a fruiting fertilizer is what you want for a fruiting plant. So. Now what we're going to want to do is break this up a little bit and moisten the soil. You definitely want to moisten the soil a little bit because it needs to have good contact with the roots just as soon as possible. And even with a good watering in, soaking, that sort of thing, there could be an air gap and water wouldn't touch the roots for whatever reason. But it's a good habit to pre-moisten your soil. And because I may use this soil for other things, I'm not going to put the fertilizer in here. Now, off the subject a little bit, blueberries, they do like acidic soil. And strawberries, they really don't care. So if you wanted to plant your strawberries and blueberries together, you can certainly do that. This is pretty much what you want. Okay, not soaking. You want your soil slightly glistening, and when you squeeze it together, it will stay together in pretty much a loose lump. So that's pretty much perfect. You can see him just fine. He's really blooming here. He only planted him a few months ago. I've got 4 strawberries coming up, plus a couple of runners. So he's going like crazy. So buying the roots is definitely a good idea over planting seeds. You can plant seeds, and you have to. It'll take 3 years, and you have to pinch the flowers for the first couple of years. I've pulled out the roots here, but I'm not going to break this up because, of course, the biology that's already set up in there. So we're going to leave that alone and just add some on top. Now, this is really a great way to propagate your strawberries. I really like it. There's a lot of planting crowns can be done. They are very difficult to do, I can tell you that. I lost probably 10% of what I planted to improper planting depth of the crowns. So on a runner, you just want to let it touch the top of the soil. Okay, so you don't want to push it down into. You don't want to push this down into the soil so much. You do want to put. I'm trying to push the stem down in there because that's going to help me. But the crown itself, I want it to just lay on the top of the soil. So the new baby is sitting, and I'm just getting the dirt off of the leaf. They don't like it. Okay, and I'll squirt some water to get the rest off. But okay, so the stem is buried well enough to hold it down, hopefully. while it takes root. And this one looks very similar to this, where you can see the little roots trying to reach out already. So that's what you want to lay right on top of the soil, and that's it. That'll do just fine. It'll root itself from there. So there's the crown. That's the baby crown right there. So that's another one we're going to take care of. So now I do admit to put him in these crowns. They were very mature crowns into tight little containers, causing them to send out runners pretty quickly, and that's a good thing. Those are some big leaves, and the variety of this is Eversweet. It's ever-bearing, so it will give strawberries all summer long, every year. Okay, so this is where we're going to close up, but I'm going to pass on the information, and we're going to end this with the advice of the experts, of the expert that I consulted. Okay, not too much water. What they do is they lose their sweetness and they get mushy. So you want to starve your plants a little bit in between waterings. And it's 3 to 4 years of good production. After that, they produce less and less. So they're perfect for a container. And if planted, give room for their runners, because those are going to be your later year production. So the mother plant will lose production, but the runners will increase in their production. So you'll have strawberries all the time, and that's just from one plant. And so give room for your runners, and you can plant the strawberries underneath your blueberries or your blackberries, something like that. The strawberries are not that particular on the soil. They just don't like to be wet all the time. So from seed, it takes 3 years to harvest, and you have to pick the flowers. I know I've done that. Okay, that's where we're going to close it, except for here's the fruit of my labors. I purposely let one get away, and it's perfect today. But it's still a young plant, so I can still pull it out of the ground if I weren't careful. There we are. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Ever-bearing. Ever-sweet. Ever-sweet. That's a really good. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he wants to produce some more. Well, there we go. From 2, I now have my counting right. 12, 13, 15. I have 15. And out of desperation, I came up with a little trick to hold this this thing down. You saw me trying to struggle with burying them and everything like that, but guess what? Those landscape clips. We're going to see how that does. Okay.